right, welcome everyone to our work session. Today is February 6, 2020. And before I call on Dr. Jenkins, let me just announce that Member Colbert is en route and will be here in just a few minutes. And I know our Vice Chair has a community meeting that is in conflict. And Dr. Jenkins, Member Gallo, is she calling in by phone, or do you know?
She's supposed to be calling in by phone. Hello.
Okay, so we should have Member Gallo with us any moment.
I'm here, Madam Chair.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. So we have Member Gallo with us. So with that, I am going to turn the meeting over to Dr. Jenkins.
Thank you. It is that time of year that you go through your first session on the Code of Student Conduct for possible revisions. There's a time frame that includes both one-on-one meetings with board members after this, as well as community meetings and meeting with cabinet on more than one occasion. It's a time to look at our Code of Student Conduct to see where we might need to make revisions or where there are legislative changes that demand we make certain revisions. That being said, you've got a team before you that handle area administrators and one of our legal department attorneys that will walk you through the changes. Gabe Barrio, Executive Area Director, is going to start us off.
Good afternoon. Okay, and we are going to, this is the initial input session for the school board, and we're going to go through an overview with you. The overview is very general. So we're going to run through the Code of Conduct and its contents. And it'll be, in, like I mentioned, very general, but we have specific detailed information if you need it. And then we will go through the actual Code of Conduct and its policies and procedures and go through each page. And after that, we'll go through some proposed revisions with you. And then if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them throughout the session. Do you want to open anything?
Good evening. Oh, I don't know if
This one.
Attorney Sarah Kopesky, I neglected to say her name. I apologize.
Okay.
Pull that microphone really close to you because I know how soft your voice is.
Is it on? Oh, there it is.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Tonight's agenda will be an overview of our current student code of conduct, the timeline, summary of actions, proposed revisions to next year's code, and as well as additional input from our school board members. The purpose and revisions and creation of the code is to ensure compliance with federal, state, and Florida State Board of Education rules, board policies, administrative rules, procedures, and guidelines, and to promote transparency and accountability in the expenditure of public funds and the use of public resources. Right now, our tentative schedule is we went to Cabinet this past Monday, February 3rd. We're here tonight for a work session, February 6th. We have not scheduled a rule development workshop yet, and we don't have the board date for approval yet. It all just depends on the red line process and the community input we get, and we will schedule those dates soon. The effective date will be the first day of school for the 2020-2021 school year, which is August 10th, 2020. The purpose of today's work session is to review the current Code of Student Conduct and to seek input for revisions to the code. And we're going to present that, as Dr. Barrio had said, to all of you and seek input and present our recommendations we have. And I'll turn it back over to Dr. Barrio.
So for the Student Code of Conduct, we're going to go section by section, starting with Section 1 through Section 5 and 6. For Section 1, we have the preface of the code, and the contents covered are acknowledgement, summary of changes to the code, Code of Student Conduct summary, introduction, and FERPA. Section 2 covers the students' rights and responsibilities, safe harbor provision, participation in extracurricular and co-curricular activities, and the Code of Civility. Section 3 starts with the student dress, conduct for students using transportation, internet policy, failure to attend classes, possession of illicit substances, possession of firearms or weapons on OCPS property, student parking, and locker search. Section 3 continued, search of an individual, cell phone policy for students, zero tolerance for school-related violent crime, out-of-school suspension, positive alternative to school suspension, restorative practices, simulated weapons, corporal punishment. Section 3 continued, bullying, harassment, sexting, hazing, sex discrimination, dual enrollment and post-secondary notification, violence against school employees, threats or false reports, student discipline investigations. Sections 4 and 5, student disciplinary offenses and the responses are divided into 4 levels. Level 1 are offenses, minor acts of misconduct. Level 2 includes repeated acts of misconduct from level 1 and acts directed against people or property that do not seriously endanger the health or safety of others. Sections 4 and 5, level 3 offenses are major acts of misconduct that disrupt the orderly operation of the school that threatens the health, safety, and property of others. And level 4 acts of misconduct are the most serious. Any level 4 act shall result in a 10-day suspension with a potential recommendation for expulsion.
And just to add sections 4 and 5, section 4 would be for your secondary students and section 5 is for your elementary students, but they do align with the levels.
Section 6, procedures for levels 1 through 4 offenses, felony suspension and expulsion, procedures for early reentry for students who received a full expulsion, and procedures for removal from participation in extracurricular, co-curricular programs. The proposed revisions for 2020-2021 add level 2 for dress code, and that is to meet the requirements of statute. Review dress code, add bus expulsion to level 4 consequences, add homicide and kidnapping to level 4 as required by Cesar, add prescription drugs to level 4, F, modify definition for sexual harassment, add buying, selling weapons, and buying, selling contraband, change theft value in levels 2, 3, and 4 to match Cesar and Florida statutes, add a section to Board Policy JIC pertaining to weapons prohibition as outlined in Board Policy JLIE.
So, and if I could go back to a couple of things that are required by statute. For the add level 2 for dress code, section 1006.07 specifically outlines our consequences that we have to provide to students if they are in a dress code violation. The third offense requires an in-school suspension, and under our level 1 offenses right now, you currently cannot receive in-school suspension, so that's why we're recommending a level 2, so that way we can be aligned with statute. And for the add homicide and kidnapping to level 4 as required by Cesar, that is something that is a Cesar code, not something that we hope we ever have to report, but it is something we are required to have as outlined in Cesar. The review of the dress code, that's to make it more gender neutral. I know that that's something that we've heard a lot of feedback from. So for instance, we have something right now in the code that says the dress hemline or the skirt hemline. Proposal would be the hemline of an article, a piece of clothing, to make it more gender neutral. And I know that I've received some articles and some input from board members as well as staff, and we're going to look at all of that and see if we can change that. So if there's any additional questions on the recommendations, we'd love to hear it. We'd also love to hear your input as well.
Can I ask real quick, and forgive me if I'm just came not sufficiently prepared, but do we have an underlined strike-through version of the recommended changes?
Not yet. This is just a very preliminary meeting just to get your input, to see what you would like us to add to the code, to tell you what we're thinking of adding, and then we'll come back again with a red line version.
Thank you. Thank you. That makes sense. So on the dress code issue, I think we've probably all received the same communication from an individual or entity that wanted us to show a picture of what is the appropriate clothing. And I know while I was at the board meetings, we never had a discussion here, but I know I missed perhaps a meeting or two. So I wasn't quite sure. I found our dress code generally to be very gender neutral. I was, when I took the time to read it as a result of that, I was pleasantly surprised at how far ahead Orange County Public Schools was with that. So you're taking a look at it from that standpoint. The idea of having a pictorial representation, thoughts on that?
It would be, as long as we're able to accurately represent what's written on the Student Code of Conduct, and also, in addition to that, keeping it gender neutral would be, I imagine, one of the criteria that we would have for it. So it's a possibility. We would have to look into it to see what that would look like.
Mm-hmm. But we'd probably need more explanation than the picture in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Are we stopping there for a second? Okay, I know I stopped you for a second. So we have comments from, or questions or comments from Dr. Gordon and Member Colbert. Dr. Gordon?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and to the superintendent. In lieu of some of the accident that happened, with the students, I know you have add homicide and kidnapping to level 4, and we've had some homicide in our district, which is so sad to say. But what I'm getting, and even in a meeting last night in the community, we brought up, and even when I went to Houston this last week, on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, sex trafficking and drug trafficking was a big thing. I don't remember seeing it in there. I know when I brought up the texting, sexting, everybody laughed about it, but I thank God you got it in there. And it's been in there since that, and it has been a problem within our schools and in many, many districts. But I did not see the sex trafficking and the drug trafficking. It is running rapid. Even if they're not on campus doing it, and they have their secret way of doing it, it is in there. So did you put anything in there that this would be under level 4?
Currently, we don't have sex trafficking or drug trafficking as an offense.
Okay, so
it's not something that I'm not sure that we've experienced in the past. So something we normally do when adding levels, if it's not mandated by the state, is that we will look at what have we seen an increase of, that we may propose to add an additional level. But if that's something you would like to see, it's definitely a conversation that we can
add it because the students have to go somewhere, and when they go, we get calls, and we are placing them in our district. And not only that, you have the parents that have formed groups, very powerful groups. And I say to the chairman and to the superintendent, we cannot not have this language, because you don't want to say when it happened, we didn't address it. Now, then you got to go back through a work session, then a rule development, then a board. It is better to have it in there. Listen, the kids can tell you all about it. Just come to my school. They can tell you where it exists. We talked about it rapidly last night. And the kids are telling now on, I don't want to say a lot, but I know Dr. Jenkins is working with it because some of the students have been assigned, and it is just very sad, but it's very dangerous. But I would like to see those two things added. Okay. That's the new thing going now, right now.
Thank you, Dr. Gordon.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to call on Member Colbert, but Dr. Jenkins, did you want to respond to that?
Yes, very briefly. Thank you, Madam Chair. Dr. Gordon, you raise an important issue, and I want to be clear in case anyone's listening in, because we know these are rampant issues across the country, especially the sex trafficking. So I want folks to understand, for anyone who is a victim of, we certainly want to accommodate and protect them, but there is still a possibility you could have a student in one of our schools who's part of an organized attempt at providing that kind of activity. And so certainly we can look at adding some language there for that. It would immediately become a criminal investigation as well. Drugs we deal with pretty thoroughly. This notion of transmitting or selling we deal with pretty thoroughly. If an individual is involved in trafficking or moving from place to place with large quantities of drugs, that can certainly be addressed with our current code, but we can add some language there. And again, that is something that is going to go immediately into law enforcement, but we'll get that language included.
And I'm very grateful to you, Madam Superintendent, for that, and Madam Chair, for you even having this quickly and early. Every meeting that I went to, the one last night, it was a community meeting, and the parents brought it up, and I went, wow. And then the one I went to in Houston, that it was a lot of organizations there warning us, letting us know what's happening, and they can't tell, because they're threatened. They're threatened the person, and they're threatened their entire families. So the kids are running on fear right now because of what's happening to them. Okay, and the trucking industry is, I think you all saw the one on television where this trucker saw what was happening in the truck with everybody going in and out, and it was a school person too, and they just caught a glimpse of the young lady and called, but she did it because he threatened and said, I will destroy you and your entire family. I'm going to let you go home, but I'm going to destroy you and your family if you let them know. So it was really something. But as Dr. Jenkins stated, the law enforcement, this is it. But we want to send that message. This is what this board has always done. We are not acting on what has happened. We are generally proactive. And we do it before, and we warn our students. And I'm here to say they've been pretty good. We really haven't had a lot of anything compared to what other districts are going through. Thank you so very much, Madam Chair and Madam Superintendent.
Thank you. Member Colbert.
My comments probably could be saved to when we get down deeper into the subject, but you just made me think of a couple of things. When we talk about the dress code, using neutral terms like clothing, garment, apparel, attire, I think is helpful. And there are some great examples of, like when you say like a picture of diagrams, the Roanoke policy has a great diagram of what should be covered from here to here, and a visual is always a good idea. I like that. So.
Thank you, and I'm sorry, Roanoke didn't come, that's what it was the Roanoke model, yes. Member Castrodeno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to reiterate what Dr. Gordon said about the human trafficking. And I know that it is a community-wide issue that isn't really addressed in the schools. And even though it is a criminal endeavor, I think if we were to put something in our code, then it will kind of raise awareness for students and teachers to know what to look for. But also, a lot of times students don't, if they're being trafficked, don't have an avenue outside of the school. And this might help them to come forward if they know that this is an area that even recognizes human trafficking. So this is a problem that we are having trouble getting our arms around in the community. And Florida is one of the top places for human trafficking, and Orlando is also one of the top. So they are in our schools, and I'm aware of different instances when there have been kids who've been trafficked. So I think that it's, even though it's not something that we want to just discipline for, as far as conduct that we need to be on the watch for or for support, I think this is a way to raise awareness, putting it in that code of conduct. So I concur, and I appreciate that you're looking into it.
Thank you. And not to further belabor the point, but it is here. A couple of years ago, without disclosing any names, but a medical professional, given the fact I've seen many, that didn't tell anybody much of anything, but a medical professional, their granddaughter, just turning 15, was abducted, and she was in one of our schools. I won't say what school, but she was able to return home, and she tried to get herself Baker-acted because she felt that that would be the only place that she would have safety. And when they wouldn't accept her, she actually ran away from home because of the same things you mentioned. She was fearful for what would happen to her younger sibling. They had moved to a different town close by. We got FDLE involved, and the whole thing sounded so far-fetched, and it was a school right in my community. And I really had a hard time believing it. They ended up rescuing another girl who was also one of our students. In the course of trying to rescue her, they ultimately were able to find her, and we have a safe house here in Orange County now. And she is, that's been about 4 years. She is doing extremely well, but it was happening in the school. I don't know if students were involved, but I do know that she was afraid to go back to school. So I think it is extremely important, and I'm glad you brought it up, and that we're going to add that. And you're absolutely right. We don't want to wait until we have a situation and then we don't have a consequence. So thank you for that. We'll go back to you, Sarah, or were you finished?
We were finished. We presented all of our recommended revisions. We just didn't know if you had additional input.
Anything else? All right. Dr. Jenkins.
So I want to remind board members, this is not your only instance for feedback. They will be coming to you one-on-one if you want to go through your hard copy of Code of Conduct to give recommendations. It's also the time of year that they have some community meetings to get feedback as well. Principals, staff, others, teachers and staff are given an opportunity as well. One concern is that we be extremely clear in our Code of Conduct so that the consequences are clear. But we also have to meet state statute. And so when they say add something pertaining to dress code by statute, then we have to take care of that as well. And so all of the technical revisions, thanks to this team, will be taken care of. We want to hear from you on revisions you believe are necessary because of the changing times and because of what you may be hearing from your constituents as well. So over the next couple of months, that's what we'll be looking for until we bring it back to you with the red line version. This helps us meet that timeline. So, I apologize to, two board members I know had one board member had a community event, and Dr. Gordon has to go to a community event. Gosh. So we're going to blame Woody.
Okay, good. It's Woody's fault.
So your new, like he's listening. So your new general counsel is helping us get ahead, push that timeline forward so that we have adequate time to deal with all of the revisions.
So you did blame her.
Amy fixed it.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just wanted to know if we're going to be notified when you have these community meetings so that we can let our communities know, because I know last year I had a lot of parents that were like, well, we didn't know anything about it. So if you could just let board members know when you're going to have those.
We'll make sure that information's available.
Thank you.
All right, so Dr. Jenkins, is it my understanding I can adjourn this meeting? I'm sorry, it just doesn't seem humanly possible. I wanted to make sure I wasn't in a dream or something. All right, meeting is now adjourned.